The great art of life is how to turn the surplus life of the soul into life for the body, so that life be not a failure. If I should sell both my forenoons and my afternoons to society, as most appear to do, I am sure that for me there would be nothing left worth living for. I trust that I shall never thus sell my birthright for a mess of pottage. I wish to suggest that a man may be very industrious and yet not spend his time well. There is no more fatal blunderer than he who consumes the greater part of his life getting his living. All great enterprises are self-supporting. The poet, for instance, must sustain his body for his poetry, as a steam planning mill feeds its boilers with the shavings it makes. You must get your living by loving. Journal entry, March 13th, 1853. It's from Thoreau and the Art of Life. Reflections on nature and the mystery of existence. Well, ain't that the truth? We are tuned in to Fitness and Consciousness. We're back on video. Shout out to Broad Ripple Computer Repair for getting my computer fixed up. It was going real slow, and I'd wave in front of the computer, and then after a couple seconds there'd be this delay and waving back, and I couldn't do video, but it was still anyways, we're back in business now. I did audio only for a few episodes, and that's okay too. And also, if you notice my shirt, I don't know if it's backwards to you or not, but it says Hadley Fitness, and it has this fancy kettlebell right here. I got t-shirts made for my business, so shout out to the Tiki Hut in Broad Ripple for making these. I think they came out pretty well. I got a couple gray ones, light gray or dark gray with white, and light gray with black letters. I'm gonna get some more made. So it's very cool. So the Hadley Fitness has been a thing for quite a while. But only last month did I actually have a place that was not just like my house or my garage or my backyard or somebody else's gym or whatever to do my thing. So it's very cool. Anybody can get a shirt made, but everything that led up to my current situation and my current situation with the gym, it's really cool. So I'm really proud to be here. So today's episode is called Windows and Mirrors. And so we're going to talk about, like, what windows do you look through? And what mirrors do you look into? So when you're looking at yourself, are you seeing yourself unobstructed? Are you seeing yourself the way you think other people see you? And the windows that you look into, from what perspective are you looking? And I'm going to dig into this from like relationships to business. And if you listen to the show, you know how I do it. So I was flipping through. I just got this Thoreau and the Art of Life book from the library a few days ago, and I haven't read hardly any of it. I just flipped through a couple pages, and I saw that journal entry. Like, oh, that makes sense, because yes, I have my own gym. I do what I want for a living. I get to help people. And I also have what I call my job. I work from 5 in the morning to 1 in the afternoon at a factory. Oftentimes, I go in at 3 a.m. and work until 1. Saturdays, they just switch from being 6 hours to 8 hours. So if we have overtime on Saturday, and it's instead of 3 to 9, it's 3 to 11. So last week, I worked 56 hours there, and then I still had my clients and did all of that. So am I complaining? No. I'm not complaining, just telling you how it is right now. And then reading what I just read makes it kind of hits home. And I also, in a way, disagree with it. I both agree and disagree with it. So that was written in 18 something something. Times were a little bit different than they are now, but it's still applicable, isn't it? So the job that I have, it's like, what window am I looking through when I'm looking at what I'm doing? I could be like, oh, I'm too good to be doing a job like this. I'm this world famous instructor. I have my own podcast that's heard all over the world. I'm too good for this. But that's not true. I'm not too good for it. And the proof is I'm there. And I could make a living just off of training, but I like having money coming in from a couple directions, and I like the steadiness of this job. It may not be too much longer that I end up letting it go, but I thought as long as I have kids, child support to pay specifically, I plan on having my kids forever, but then my responsibility is bigger than myself. So I'll do what I need to do to make this happen, and just to have the security of, because with personal training, even the best of us, it can be up and down. That's just how it is. And so with this job, I'm fortunate enough to have it be, I'm done at 1:00 in the afternoon, and so I can still have my clients in the afternoons and evenings, and it all works out well. So, but I still feel what he's saying. So when you're looking in the mirror, well, I'll start with my cars. Okay, so I have two cars. I have a 91 Jeep Cherokee. I've had it for, I think, almost like 13 years now. Runs great. I really love that car. I only paid $550 for it 13 years ago. I've put a little bit of money into it, but not much. And it hasn't had a rear view mirror since I've gotten the thing. So now I'm talking, that's just a fact. Okay, it does not have a rear view mirror. But then, so let's speak a little bit metaphorically about it. Let's think about that. So what do you think if you can't look into the rear view mirror? What way do you look? How do you look if you're not looking at what's behind you? So maybe something happened yesterday, a year ago, that upsets you. You're still looking in that rear view mirror. So what happened when you're looking in the rear view mirror? You're looking through the windshield. You can't see where you're going, right? Nothing with me is just like some simple fact. Everything has this like layers and layers and layers of profound philosophy, interwoven many, 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 many layers deep. So I could get a mirror for it. I almost went to get one today. I almost went to get one a bunch of different days. And I just haven't done it yet. So my other car is a 2002 Hyundai XG350. It was actually a gift from a client who I trained him for a while, and then when he was going into a nursing home, he just gave me his car. And so those are the two cars that I have. Oh, but the mirror, it doesn't stay, the rear view mirror, it like falls down. So you can like put it up so you can see out the back for a minute, but then it just like, once you're driving it starts to shake down. I've had the car for a few years, maybe 3 years. It's not that hard to fix it. It's not hard to take that mirror off and put another one on. But a lot of times I'm not thinking about it when I'm not in the car. I'm going to like switch lanes or something, and And then it's like, and then it's a little bit frustrating for a second, and then I'm over it. But then I'm looking at back to this profound philosophy of not looking behind, just looking ahead. And of course, when we're talking about the practicality of driving or life, wherever we're going, it's nice to know what's going on around us also. If we're too tunnel vision, we can get caught off guard. We have blind spots, right? We have blind spots. So we have to turn our head and look different directions. So something like having a job where we could get by without it, but we're a lot more comfortable with it. I think that's the current state of a lot of people that have their own business. They do their own business, so many hours a week, and then they have another job, a job that just knocks out the bills. They have no passion for what that is. But then when something happens, like one of the things about having a couple older cars, maybe you're going to put a little bit more maintenance into it. With the Jeep, I've been really lucky. But sometimes stuff happens. It's no big deal. I still don't want a car payment. I could have a car payment and get something nicer. Like a buddy of mine, he was talking about, he has an older truck and he was going to trade it in. He wants to get a newer Subaru. And then, so he went to the dealership, and they weren't going to give him very much for his truck, which he didn't expect. It's like wrecked in the front and whatever. But then he's talking about the payments. I'm like, ugh. I mean, yeah, I could do it, but still, it's payments. Oh, and then the insurance. Oh, his insurance is going to double because he has a new car. And then it's like, that doesn't sound good to me. So I like to have two cars. Then if something goes wrong, it's in the shop. I have my other ride. It's not a big deal. It's cool. So, but when we're doing more than we have to do for a living, then we're ready for these to be hit from our blind spots. And some people are lucky enough to only do what they love and make plenty of money doing that. And I'm transitioning into that. It's partly just several factors, but mainly I like having money coming in from different directions and just that solid. I know how much I'm getting. With training, it might be a really good week. Maybe a couple people go on vacation. And then, people do stuff. So that's just the way it is. So as a trainer, something that it might sound kind of odd that I don't really talk to people about their weight very much. Okay, yeah, I've had a fair number of people coming to me that want to lose weight. And I'll talk to them about like why they want to lose weight. This would be like their first session, first like consultation. It's like, I want to lose 30 pounds. Okay, well, why would you like to lose 30 pounds? And I like to kind of like dig into, the reasons behind some things. And then as the time goes, like maybe somebody gets on the scale. Maybe they come 3 times a week. I don't even have a scale at my new gym. But where I was before, there was scales there. There was like four scales there. And somebody might go and they get on the scale like every session. So it's like 3 times a week they're going and getting on the scale. And okay, that's fine. I'm not telling somebody not to get on the scale. And so he was excited. This one particular client, because he kept seeing the scale like drop. And then, but sometimes, we're getting on it 3 times a week. So maybe it's coming back after the weekend and it's went up a little bit and then back down, or maybe it stayed the same, but it's like down. And so uh, there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm not asking him to get on the scale and report these numbers to me. I'll say something like, if he like comments on, I'm like, oh, is it going the right direction for you, or is it being nice to you, or whatever. I'll say something, but I'm not like, yeah, you really need to lose 2 pounds this week. I mean, come on, buddy. No, I don't do that. And sometimes I'm reading like in these, like I'm part of like a lot of Facebook groups, like with personal trainers and coaches of various sorts. And sometimes it's like they're so caught up in this like nutrition counseling and stuff. And not that that's even bad. I don't want to try to make it sound like that's a bad thing. But to me, their focus is on the wrong thing sometimes, from my perspective. And so even though like with clients, I haven't brought up the weight thing very often, they'll bring up, oh, I'm trying this new diet out. I'm like, oh, cool. That's a good one. Like a 16 and 8 hour intermittent fasting. That's cool. I'm totally supportive of all of that. But there's something that's, I don't know, like maybe part of it is like being a vegan. I don't want to talk to people about it. Like I don't want a lot of people or that I know of. I'm not really training other people that are vegans or. I mean, I have, but it's like I think a lot of people don't want to hear that. And to me, like for the most part, people know what they're doing wrong, right? If I just ate a box of cookies and then I'm getting on the scale the next day, I'm going to be thinking about that box of cookies. Really, I don't weigh, personally, I don't even weigh myself. I do not own a scale. So, I've never had a struggle with weighing what I thought is too much either. So maybe that's, maybe before I thought I was like too light. And so I was like trying to gain weight. And at my most, I weighed like 176. And I don't remember the last time I got on the scale, but like the last several times, I've got somewhere between like 160, 165 maybe. I don't know what I am now. I guess it's somewhere around in then, because I haven't changed much in my eating or workouts or whatever. But I think some people, like when they look in the mirror, they see like a fun house version of themselves. It could be somebody that weighs 175. They look in the mirror and they see somebody that weighs 275. And I don't know, I guess it's like something about like when people come for a session with me, it's like, it's kind of weird to think I don't want them to do it to lose weight. Yes, if you do this stuff, you can lose weight. Absolutely. And if you want to lose weight, your program will be geared more towards that. You're losing weight. It's going to have a lot more to do with what you do the times when you're not with me. Because if you train for an hour and say you burn like, I don't know, 700 calories or something like that, and then with like the post exercise oxygen consumption, it's it ends up being like more than that if you're like lifting heavy as opposed to like cardio stuff. But anyways, like one bad meal ruins that. Okay, so what I'm trying to design cannot be ruined by a meal. So what I'm designing, no matter what the goal is, whether it's weight loss, strength gain, or any of the myriad reasons people come to me for training, it's not going to be ruined by a meal. You're going to be learning proper movement. You're going to be learning these progressions in in an environment that's supportive and non-judgmental. Okay. I'm judging your lifting. I'm judging your form. Absolutely. I'm not going to give you a hard time about having a cheat meal 3 times a day. People already know they do that. And when they look in the mirror, that's what they see. And when they're with me, I don't want them to see that, because that's not what they are. They're not the person that's doing bad stuff. They're in the moment. They're doing what's right then. Okay. Makes sense? But I've had people lose a lot of weight too. But that's how it happens. Like part of it, and this episode's not just about this kind of stuff. But yeah, enough said about that. Okay, so if you're one of those that needs to lose weight because you say you need to lose weight, then be easy on yourself. Being stressed out about it won't help. It throws the chemicals off, stress chemicals, and I won't dig into that. But if you're just easy on yourself, and if you mess up, you can take 10 steps off the path, and it just takes 1 step back on. Okay. So part of what I wanted to get into today was, and it's probably these mirrors and windows. It's like sometimes, I feel guilty about spending my money on things that are not necessary. And, there may be things that like feel good at the moment or seem right at the moment. But like, for instance, I bought this pair of shoes. And normally I wouldn't buy shoes that I don't get to try on first, because I like to have, plenty of room, like in the toe box, not be too like just a weird fit. But I like it anyways. So I ordered this pair of shoes that was supposed to be like they were these like Vibram bottoms with Vibram soles with, and they kind of like wrap on your feet, so it seemed like they will fit because you can adjust how tight they are. And I get them, and I didn't like them. And I paid like $70 some for them. I sent an email about returning them. I didn't get an email back. And then so I'm like, okay, well, somebody else will love them. A lot of people do like them. Like my toes went off of the insole, and I just tried them on. I didn't even really wear them very much. But then I felt guilty. I was like, yeah, it's like $70, but still $70. I could pay my electric bill. I could pay insurance. I could have done a lot of things that didn't involve that. So then I feel like guilty about it. I'm the one that earned the money, but still, I'm looking at myself in a mirror that's maybe a little bit too judgmental at times. And a lot of times people will think like, oh, well, you spent $70 on a pair of shoes, you just don't dig. Well, went out to the bar and spent $120 on these expensive drinks, and this girl was acting like she liked me, and I was buying her these $12 shots all night, and then she left with some other guy, and I was like, what? And then cab ride home, and then so somebody goes and they blow like $120, and then the next day they feel terrible, they pay for it, hangover, like, oh, it was dumb. They're hard on themselves about that, or maybe people just putting their money So like money is like your energy. So you put energy into work and you get paid in this other energy called money that you can pay for somebody else's work. And sometimes I call it not having our eyes lined up. So like the letter I, like eyes and me. We all have like these different eyes. So think like I would not waste $70 on a pair of shoes that I haven't even tried on. But this other I did that. I ordered them online. It's like probably midnight. Oh, I'll just click it, whatever. And then I have this pair of shoes that bothers me. I have a hard time like getting over it. I have this pair of shoes. And then somebody else, they have that night of partying that they wish they didn't do. And then there's like these windows that we look through when we're seeing someone. And so maybe we start seeing someone, and this has happened with me. Like a pattern that I had, I try not to alienate anyone too much here. Let's say, I met someone, and when we first met, like at first sight, I was not sure. She told me later at first sight, she's like, "Oh, wow, this could be the one." But I didn't have that same feeling at first. I ended up, I won't date more than one person at a time. And I ended up breaking our second date because I thought she was still, I was interested. We had a very interesting conversation, and I thought this actually does have potential. But then like between date one and date two, something kind of like sparked up with this woman I'd been friends with for a while. And so I broke our second date because I won't date more than one woman at a time, even if it's at the very, very beginning. And so things didn't work out with the other one. And I was still in contact with the girl that I broke the second date with. Like there was something that kept us connected. We didn't see each other, but there was some texting just about, I guess, like general and spiritual stuff, but nothing about seeing each other or anything like that. And then, so when things didn't work out with the other, I asked, kind of a weird thing, but that's just this is how it happened. I asked if she wanted to get together again, and then we started seeing each other at that point. And so as the time goes, and we were together for a while, not quite a year, I think. But I guess the window that I was looking at her through and the window that I was looking at us through was distorted in some way. So what does that mean? I mean, have you had this? Are you following? Are you following what I'm saying? And maybe it's always distorted. I mean, can we see anything clearly, really? But to me, I guess what I had then was like, yeah, this is good. She's a good person. She's honest. She's faithful. She's we have a lot in common, and I thought the differences that we had made us stronger as a whole. But there was still something about me that was unsure, and I never said anything about it after except for between date one and date two. But after that, once it was on, and my mind is on making this work, letting this work. It's kind of a mixture of both, isn't it? Relationships do take work, but it's also like, man, it shouldn't be that hard, should it? And I wouldn't say the relationship with her was very hard. But something that I had ran into before was maybe this isn't the one. Maybe she isn't the one. But it's not bad enough to end it. It's not even bad. It's good. But is it good enough? And that good enough is something that's a tough one too. Because a lot of people think that what they're doing is not good enough. And in a way that's healthy, I believe, because that makes us strive to do better. Am I good enough as a trainer right now? Yes. No. Yes, I feel perfectly comfortable charging what I charge, teaching what I teach. I have a really good track record with clients, but am I just good enough where I can just coast now? No. I study every day, literally every day. And by studying, maybe I'm skimming through Instagram and I see a trainer that I'm studying and I'm looking at what he's doing. I'm watching the videos. I'm watching the techniques. I'm thinking about it. So it's not like I'm combing through volumes of dense materials. And, I do a little bit of that too, but not so much anymore. To me, well, anyways. So looking at your relationship, looking at your partner, like they're not good enough. That's a tough one, because a lot of times what happens when we break up with them, then we start to miss them. Oh, what was I thinking? Now I see her the way she really is, and man, she's really great. I can't believe I was missing that. I was thinking of like something else, that I was looking through her through this window that was not clear. But is it better to look through that rose-colored window and say, oh, things are great, when they're really not? And I guess I've been fortunate enough, my last like several relationships going back many years have all really been good. I wouldn't say I've been in a bad one for a long time. And I guess since I was about 21 was when I would say was bad, and I wouldn't say it was all bad. I'm talking about my son's mom. And so I couldn't be happier about my son coming into existence, which wouldn't have happened without being with her. And sometimes we're great, but a lot of times we're really just rough. And then we lived together, and then it was like this, it was just hard and not healthy, not how I would want to go on. And so, but I got a cool son out of the deal. So, and I guess I learned a lot from that relationship, because I never had one like that again. So like with her, we like yell at each other and cuss at each other. And like looking back at it now, it's like, how did that happen like that? And it never happened again. So like in the next relationships from the time I was 21, 22, when I was with her, let's see, it would have been, it's 21. Whatever it was. And I'm 40 now. So after her and I broke up, I was like, I'm not going to go out with anyone else seriously unless she's just about perfect. And by perfect, I mean like, not perfect, but pretty perfect, pretty close. And so I was like single for 10 years. And so I'd go out with a girl, and then I'd see like some hint, some red flag, and I would take that red flag, and that would be it. I wouldn't try to follow up with that at all and make anything happen that way. And then, so after that 10 years, I lived like a monk pretty much. I did a lot of working out. I did a lot of martial arts. I did a lot of yoga, a lot of meditation. I would sit in meditation for hours. Just lived like a monk. And so then I started seeing someone, and she seemed to be pretty much perfect. She was a yoga teacher, and she did a lot of meditation, and she just had like the right vibe, and so we didn't yell at each other, any kind of like disagreement, like arguments. Like arguments isn't really even the way to describe what we were doing. We didn't like call each other names or anything like that. It was a healthy relationship, and then it didn't end. It didn't. We're not together now, but it ended peacefully, and somewhat the same with the ones after that. It ended peacefully, and no dramas. So, but I think a kind of a recurring theme for me was maybe being with someone and sticking with it because it just wasn't bad enough to end it. And maybe that's, is that good or bad? So I'm thinking, okay, I'm not being judgmental. Okay, yeah, she has this trait that I don't like particularly, but I'm going to deal with that in my own mind. I'm not bringing it up. I will not talk about it. I will not act like there's anything wrong. I'm going to deal with whatever. So I'm looking at her through this window, and something pops up. I'm like, don't like that. Don't, and then I don't say anything. It never becomes an issue that we deal with because I won't bring it up. It's not worth it. So I think that that's a good thing. But sometimes the woman picked up on that anyways. And so like one in particular, I guess it's happened a couple of times. So, and it's not like I've went out with like tons of different women. That's not my style. I wish it was. No, I'm just kidding. But say, like one that I was talking about, like said, I have a friend who you would be a better match with than me. And she never told me who that friend was. I figured it out later, and we ended up seeing each other and for a little bit. And then with another relationship, she kind of picked up on the same thing. Like she thought that, why would I want to be with a woman like her when I could be with someone like someone else? I won't say who. How can I describe it? So I guess you thought kind of like the damsel in distress type, like the type of woman that needs like help, whether it's like with money or that kind of thing. And hopefully you don't hear that. For some reason, my DVD player started spinning my disc here. Hope you don't hear that. What was I saying? Oh, so like the damsel in distress type, she thought that I might be attracted to because I was with somebody like that kind of for a little bit, and no, I'm not necessarily attracted to that. I don't mind helping someone out, I've helped, a lot of people move. I've helped like these different women move, and I've helped dudes move too. I mean, I've helped buddies move. I help whoever. It's something that's came up quite a few times. But the woman that thought I wanted someone with these different traits, like she didn't need that kind of help. She made more money than I do, quite a bit more, and so she didn't need any kind of help like that. Uh, and what was kind of funny was she had asked me to help her move, and it was when we were just starting to see each other. And I had a knee that was just recently messed up from jujitsu. I could barely walk. And she hired movers. And so I thought, well, when you hire movers, they they do the moving. But in her mind, movers just help you move. They don't do everything. So she thought I should have been helping her move. And I was working that day. Um, I was like working at that time, and knees messed up, can't even walk, but she is mad because I'm not helping her move, and even though she's hired movers and had plenty of money to do so. So she was in no, but in her mind, I should have helped. And so maybe she had a little bit of her that even though she didn't need help in that way, that she wants to be helped in that way. And that's okay. I think that was for a lot of different reasons. Uh, but yeah. So the way that the window that she was looking at me through, and the mirror, like if that she's looking at us through, was just a bit different than mine. And I think sometimes when something came up, she wasn't looking at, she was looking at me through a window that had like an imprint of her ex-husband in. So he did something, he cheated on her, and I never cheated on her. I never cheated on anyone, but he cheated on her and lied and did something. So I think sometimes if something came up about me that she didn't like, when she's like looking through that window at me, uh, she can't help but see a bit of reflection from him. And it's not that everything I do is perfect either, but yeah. So how should we look at ourselves? What mirror should we look into? And like the mirror, mirror on the wall, who's the fairest of them all? And do you want the mirror to lie to you? Like, you're the hottest dude ever. Man, look at those abs. Look at those arms. Oh, you're just the greatest. Uh, but do you want that mirror to look like, oh, fat? Oh my God. Ugly. Those lines in your eyes. That gray hair on your chin. Oh my God. How can you stand yourself? You should go work out, punish yourself with a workout. And then your workouts are you're punishing yourself because you're disgusting. And you get on the scale, and it says the same thing that it did before your workout, before your punishment. And you look in the mirror, and now you're just sweaty and disgusting. It's not good. It's not good. If you can like channel that, change that, be accepting of that, and look in the mirror. I'm like, okay, here's what we can work on. I see you. You're a good person. You try. You do your best. You're not perfect. Nobody is. And let's take this workout not as a punishment for your bad behavior, but a reward. A reward to yourself for all the great things that you do. And you're rewarding yourself with a healthier mind and body, because these workouts, even though, I mean, it's an escape. So when people come to me for these, not an escape, well, maybe it's you could say an escape from work, bills, any other problems that you have. When you come to your workout, all that you're doing is working out. And during people's workouts, I'm not like, oh, how's work going? Oh, how's business? How's anything? Like maybe like before the workout or afterwards, or maybe like during a little break time, I'm like, oh, did you do anything fun this weekend? Or do you have anything fun planned for this weekend? But I'm not like, so what problems did you have this weekend? You didn't cheat on your diet, did you? How dare you go out to a bar, had 3 beers and some wings? Oh my God. We're doing more cardio today. God, you're staying over too. You're staying in workout detention. You gotta do 100 more sit-ups. That's crazy, but that's how people treat themselves sometimes. Let's so you're probably, if you listen to the show, I do random Rumi readings. This is not a random Rumi reading, but this is a random Thoreau reading. Let's just see what it says. Our employment generally is tinkering, mending the old, worn-out teapot of society. Our stock in trade is solder. S-O-L-D-E-R, solder. Better for me, says my genius, to go cranberrying this afternoon. Okay. I said it was random, but that kind of makes sense, doesn't it? I see that my neighbors look with compassion on me, that they think it is a mean and unfortunate destiny which makes me to walk in these fields and woods so much and sail on this river alone. But so long as I find here the only real Elysium, I cannot hesitate in my choice. My work is writing, and I do not hesitate, though I know that no subject is too trivial for me, tried by ordinary standards. For, ye fools, the theme is nothing, the life is everything. All that interests the reader is the depth and intensity of the life excited. Yeah. For some years past, I have partially offered myself. Okay, so the first one I read was August 30th, 1856. The second, October 1856. For some years past, I have partially offered myself as a lecturer, have been advertised as such for several years. Yet I have had but 2 or 3 invitations to lecture in a year, and some years none at all. I congratulate myself on having been permitted to stay at home. Thus, I am so much richer for it. I do not see what I should have got of much value, but money, by going about, but I do see what I should have lost. It seems to me that I have a longer and more liberal lease on life thus. I cannot afford to be telling my experience, especially to those who perhaps will take no interest in it. I wish to be getting experience. You might as well recommend to a bear to leave his hollow tree in the woods. He would be leaner in the spring than if he stayed at home and sucked his claws. Wow. January 11th, 1857. One more. Men's minds run so much on work and money that the mass instantly associate all literary labor with a pecuniary reward. They are mainly curious to know how much money the lecturer or author gets for his work. They think that the naturalist takes so much pains to collect plants or animals because he gets paid for it. It's interesting that these kinds of things are what I keep reading about Thoreau. Those are all random, and what I've read on the show today is the most I've read out of this book. It's just randomly, and I read a few right in a row from the same page. So the experience, and so like, when we go out to have these experiences, then we have something to talk about. If I just stayed in this apartment, I do the show from my apartment. If I were to just stay here and quit my job, and I'd have another 40, 50 some plus hours a week to devote to training and the podcast. But would I have the same perspectives to share and to explore? Because part of the show is I'm exploring my own thoughts. So what I do is I make out a outline, just a little list of things that I want to bring up. But it's not like I'm just like reading what I had all written out. No, I'm exploring my mind and my life situations as I do the show. So like one of the influences for the show is from Northern Exposure, Chris in the Morning, where Chris has this radio show and he plays records, but he also talks about his own philosophy, these things that are going on, what's going on in the town, and like this like kind of open-ended philosophy. Like he's really thinks a lot about these things, but it's not like he has necessarily like solidified it, put it in a box, and here's how here it is. It's just like, and then so maybe if he explained it again, he's not going to be saying it the same way. Whereas if you have somebody like Dr. Jordan Peterson, he's another influence of mine. Brilliant. But I think what he does is he puts a lot of thought, a lot of writing to get his thoughts in an order, the right words, so he can just, when he's speaking, I've heard him, like he was asked in an interview how he thinks, and it was really cool. And I wish I could remember who the interviewer was, but he's like, okay, well, I'll think something out for maybe like weeks, months, years, and then he'll have it written out the way he wants it to, because he's like picked apart, and like any little thing people can pick apart, they'll criticize him. Maybe that some of that has died off now, but like what he does is he says he'll get it together, and then he'll like take that like box thought, and then he puts it up, and then so he has all these different this like library of thoughts that are together, and they're more or less complete. And so then when somebody asks him about something, he's like pulls it off the shelf, and he basically like reads from his mind what is in that box. And so he's able to give a very well thought out opinion that's not open-ended. Usually it's a closed, has like the bookends, all everything's like in place and thought out. And well, there's exceptions to that. Well, like with this show, you know, as much as I've spoken on the show, I think this is show 109. And so all the shows have been, pretty much more than an hour, some almost 2 hours. And a lot of times I've had guests for most of them. But if you're all these like hundreds of hours of talking, my opinions and perspectives will surely change over time. So I'm not like married to these thoughts that I have, these opinions that I have. I don't have them as like some kind of like political team to belong to. Like, okay, if you're a conservative, this is what you think about this. This is what you think about that. If you're a liberal, then this is what you think. That's not how I. That's not how I think. Uh, I study a lot. I think a lot, and one of the ways that I like to think is, as like if you listen to the show, you already know. I like to take a concept like windows and mirrors. Okay, and I might talk about like literally like the literal rear view mirror on my car, the literal rear view mirror on my Jeep, and then I start building like philosophies around that, like more abstract thinking. Uh, to like see what kind of like lessons are in there. What can we get out of that? So, um, another book that I picked up to read from. I'll just read. Wait. Oh, I have a couple of them here. This is from Jim Morrison, the Revealing Early Poems from the Voice of a Generation, the Lords and the Creatures. Random is fun. Sometimes before the show, I'll go through a bunch of different books and pick out, and I'll bookmark pages, poems, or whatever that I want to read because they have to do, or whatever, maybe not even have to do with what I'm talking about. But strangely, just like the Thoreau, it's amazing how some things relate when it seems to be random. But it's kind of fun just to like pick something randomly. So, okay. First thing is, the spectator is a dying animal. That's it. That's all it says. Invoke, palliate, drive away the dead nightly. Cinema returns us to anima, religion of matter, which gives each thing its special divinity and sees God in all things and beings. Cinema, air of alchemy, last of an erotic science. I don't know. Some of, when I went to get these Jim Morrison books, and I've had them from the library for a while now, and I'm expecting something of a certain caliber, and then I'm reading through it, and it's like, okay. Maybe some of it's a little overrated, but it's tons of stuff, and maybe I just don't get some of it. And he was, from the time I liked the Doors since I was probably in junior high. So I'm 40 now, and I remember like in high school, must have been like a freshman, sophomore, or something, and we're partying and watching the Doors video VHS tape of one of their concerts, and it's like Jim Morrison. He died when he was like, I think 27, right? And he was older than us, and so cool. And then I remember watching that same video, not on VHS, just like several years ago. And now I'm older than him, and it just looks different. And they're still a great band. I have like some Doors songs on my class playlist. Awesome band. And you don't expect everything that everybody writes to be, golden, but whatever. I'll read another one here. No one thought up being. He who thinks he has stepped forward. An angel runs through the sudden light, through the room. A ghost precedes us. A shadow follows us. And each time we stop, we fall. Have you ever seen God? A mandala, a symmetrical angel. Felt? Yes. Fucking. The sun. Heard? Music. Voices. Touched? An animal. Your hand. Tasted? Rare meat, corn, water, and wine. It's worth reading, right? Accomplishments. To make works in the face of the void. To gain form, identity. To rise from the herd crowd. Public favor, public fervor. Even the bitter poet madman is a clown, treading the boards. Cold electric music damage me, rend my mind with your dark slumber. Cold temple of steel, cold minds alive on the strangled shore. Veterans of foreign wars, we are the soldiers of rock and roll wars. Now you take the time, so I was born in 1979, but when you look back to like 1969 and he got arrested on stage from, what was it? Was it exposing himself or was it just those lines? He said, Father, I want to kill you. Mother, I want to F you. I'm pretty sure it was for that. If I would have thought about it before, I would have looked it up. But imagine, like, can you look through the window of those times? Can you see how people then would have saw? And it doesn't seem like that long ago. I mean, I listen to the music pretty much every day from those times. And you have like Elvis. You can be on TV, but we can't film you from the waist down. You can't film Elvis from the waist down. He had pants on. And you can't film him from the waist down. Well, I guess what he was doing with those hips was making girls go bonkers. They're ripping their hair out to get to him. He couldn't even have a decent concert without, God, you watch that it's like a 68 comeback concert, and he's has a bunch of cool songs on that one. You watch it live, it's like these girls just screaming their heads off right behind him. It's like, shut up. Just shut up. Like, man, that's really annoying when you go to a concert and you have somebody around you that's being louder than the music, or the guitar player gets to the subtle part of the guitar solo and everybody's quiet, and then some dude whistles real loud or woos real loud. It's like, oh my God, come on. Nobody came here to hear you whistle. Anyways, I'm going to start to wrap the show up here. I'm not sure how long I've been going, but I'm going to read something else. This is from the original Rubaiyat. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong. Of Omar Khayyam, in a new translation, critical commentaries by Robert Graves and Omar Ali Shah. Oh, let's do randomly again, shall we? Because I don't have anything planned. While dawn, day's herald straddling the whole sky, offers, this is the beginning of it. I turned it to the middle, but this is actually the beginning. While dawn, day's heralding straddling the whole sky, offers the drowsy world a toast to wine. The sun spills early gold on city roofs, day's regal host replenishing his jug. Then shouts ring out among us at the tavern. Rise too, you good-for-nothing tavern lad. Refill our empty bowls with today's measure before the measure of our lives be filled. Loud crows the cock for his dawn drink, my sake. Here stand we in the vintner's row, my sake. In this hour, is this hour for prayer, silence, my sake. Defy old custom, sake, drink your fill. Rarest of lads, rising to greet the dawn, favor my bowl of crystal, pour red wine. This moment filched from the gray corpse of night, we long may sigh for, never repossess. I won't continue. Some of it is better in chunks than others. Can't win them all. Since we started on Thoreau and the Rubaiyat threw us off a little bit, and some Jim Morrison, whatever those Jim Morrison things are. Random, and I turned it to the same page I did before. Okay. All right. Consider the turtle. A whole summer, June, July, and August, is not too good nor too much to hatch a turtle in. Perchance you have worried yourself, despaired of the world, meditated the end of life, and all things seemed rushing to destruction, but nature has steadily and serenely advanced with a turtle's pace. I like that one. Now we're back on track. My mother, that's a journal entry, 1856. My mother was telling tonight of the sounds she used to hear summer nights when she was young and lived on the Virginia road. The lowing of cows, or cackling of geese, or the beating of a drum as far off as Hildreth's. But above all, Joe Merriam whistling to his team, for he was an admirable whistler. Says she used to get up at midnight and go and sit on the doorstep when all in the house were asleep, and she could hear nothing in the world but the ticking of the clock in the house behind her. Journal entry, May 26, 1857, last one. A man must attend to nature closely for many years to know when, as well as where, to look for his objects, since he must always anticipate her a little. Young men have not learned the phases of nature. They do not know what constitutes a year, or that one year is like another. I would know when in the year to expect certain thoughts and moods, as the sportsman knows when to look for plover. Journal entry, 1859. As I look around through my current window of my eyes, and what do I see? And I put that book down, and I look up, and I see my mom's paintings. There's 3 of them up. The first one is some woods, and it looks like it's like getting dark. There's a little like pine tree in kind of the front right. Little tree of some sort that had fallen. It's at the very bottom, so the very front of the picture. And there's like a creek run through with rocks on the side, and then it gets darker and darker, and there's a light through a lighter spot. And I look to the other one. I think she calls it, it's the first, painting that she did. It's called A Road Less Traveled. And so it has like this road, and it has like this like grass growing in the middle, like it's going through the woods. And it's a lot like that other scene, but instead of a creek, it's a road. And it's a little different, but so it has the woods on both sides, and trees in the background, the light spot was kind of like a signature of her, some of her forest paintings. And then I'm looking at this other one, it's a winter scene, and it's these birch trees real close to each other. And some other trees in the distance. And looks like there still might be some leaves on some of the trees. So maybe like the snow maybe came early, or all these nature scenes. And look behind me, and it's a heart lotus chakra. And part of the show, like for my business, most people just listen to the show, but if you're watching the video, it's on YouTube and Patreon. It'll be on Patreon. The Hadley Fitness with the kettlebell logo. But for the podcast, I don't have the logo. Just says fitness and consciousness. It's written in black letters on green. On YouTube, the background has like a nature scene. It's like the I can't remember what it's called. It shows like the logo as like the profile picture, and then the background is a nature scene. It's for several different reasons. One of them I couldn't figure out to size the logo for that picture, that size, even though I was doing it how they said. Anyways, but it's just the words, because I thought, well, what would the logo for fitness and consciousness be? And I couldn't decide on one. I don't want it. And I was like, I don't want it to be one. So when this is the first real backdrop that I've had on the show. Before it was just like the blank wall. And my early shows were just audio only. But I just ordered a new backdrop for the show. And it's of an owl. It's this great horned owl. And I'm hoping it looks as cool as it does in the picture. I'm sure it looks like that, but I'm hoping it like fits and everything. And so if you heard the show, I described my owl experience. The message that I got from owl and that experience is like when I got, if you didn't hear, I had an experience where I was able to get within reaching distance of a great horned owl. He was in this tree that had fallen over and just about like 7 feet in the air. And I walked up the tree, climbed, then back down and back up into the tree. And I could have reached out and touched him. I was that close. And we just looked in each other's eyes for a long time. But the message that I got from that experience with owl was a question. It's, who are you? So I was looking at owl, and owl was looking at me. And I'm looking at the talons on this owl. And they look different when you're that close. I mean, everybody knows owls have strong talons, right? It's not a great horned owl. It's a strong animal. But when you're right there, they look different. They look like something like space age metal of some sort. They don't look like they could just come out of a bird. They look different. They look powerful, sharp. But the message I got was, who are you? So what windows do you look at your world through? What mirror do you look at yourself from? Thank you for tuning in to Fitness and Consciousness. See you next time.